She's
Right.
starting right now, of course, so shishy.
Shishy poo.
Oh,
Are we live?
well, hey, hey, apparently we are. Welcome to Hot Flashes and Margaritas, everybody.
Oh my gosh. So we just dropped our first interview episode.
Whoop, whoop.
And yes, we interviewed Angel Corona.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. If you haven't seen it, look it up.
Check it out.
Uh,
She's an intuitive wellness consultant and it's
sh-
very insightful.
we're going to bring her back. She was
For sure.
incredible. But, it was just so much fun interviewing her and having her on. Her energy was great. And she just brought so much. I really feel like we could have done two shows, and that show's a little longer. So definitely
Mhm.
take a look at that.
Yeah,
So
we're
we
more
are,
interviews to come too. Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
But today's topic is
We're talking about going back to school in midlife. Because, this is like we've talked in other episodes about you get in this place where you're kind of reinventing yourself. There's shifts in life going on. Sometimes they call it the midlife crisis. I don't like to call it that because
I
I
don't
feel
either.
like
I don't
it's
either.
it's not a crisis. It's just you get older and you're aware of yourself. Like, hey, this career is just not working. It's not bringing me joy. I need something else. And we contemplate as women in our heads before we ever act about a lot of things, relationships, stuff like that. But also when it comes to if we have a dream or a desire to do something, we're always thinking, how does it impact the family? Can we afford it? Like all the barriers come up. And so it can really keep us from not stepping into that. So
I don't
I
I don't know
yeah.
if this is I didn't research this one particular aspect, but I think the one that probably comes to mind the quickest is but I'm so and so years old,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 30. I didn't go directly from high school to college, and I think that you're going to be that plus 4 years anyway. That's how I think about it.
Well, yeah, and I remember going back at 40. Well, I was a little younger than 40, and I remember going into the classroom, and I was already behind because there was assignments online due. I didn't know that because there was no online when I was in school before, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And everybody had their laptops, and I had my little notebook and my pen. And it was, very like, okay, reality, things have changed in the last couple decades. So there is an adjustment to that, right? But
Yeah.
there's also like there's some real pros to going back in midlife
It
and
makes you a
knowing
better
yeah,
parent. I think it makes you a better parent because I work a lot with families, and parents are very rigid about what they want their kids to be
mm,
doing,
pressure.
and like after school, or where to go to college, or what their grades are. So they don't realize parents don't realize what school's like now. The school is
Yeah.
so much harder in some ways because some teachers want you to submit online. Some people want you to do
Yeah.
the book. Some people want you to write it out and type it and turn it in that way. Some people want you to go straight to a specific website and fill things out through that website. And we didn't have 5 different ways to submit an item. So I tell parents, like,
True.
back off. You have no idea what school's like unless you've been to school in the last since
Uh-huh.
COVID. Honestly, since COVID, because even before COVID to now is different.
Yeah. So the beauty of when you go back, I remember being at the kitchen table and I'm doing homework with my kids, you know, and
How
they can
cute.
help me on things online that I'm like, I don't know how to do.
The
You know,
portal.
we had microfilm back in the day when we researched. We didn't just get to do it from our home. Like, it's just such a different world now. We do have more access now, but I think that when you choose to have the courage to go back to school in midlife, that, you have some real life experience that you bring into that classroom that does give you an edge than those who are in their 20s. So,
But let's take it back to when you were talking about, like, let's get personal, and I'll get personal too.
yeah.
When you were talking about going back to school, I was ranting on that, and you didn't think it. You were like, "I've been out of the workforce," or "I haven't been." I remember thinking, and I was like, "But Lisa, you have so much life experience." But I don't know if as women we value that. I don't think we think that, like, the 10 years
Mhm.
or 20 years we were home with our kids, if
Oh,
that's, like,
yeah.
counts as credit, and I remember thinking because you were in this in your LMFT program, like, the academic part of it, and I remember thinking, like, "I would so much rather have you as a therapist than someone who doesn't have children." Not that you have to have children to be a therapist for people who don't, not that you have to be married to be a couples therapist, I'm not saying that, but I would choose you, and what happened to me when I got to that stage was there was a mom who called the office, and I was, like, doing my internship, and she said, "I wanna work with someone who's a mom," and that's why they gave her to me is because I was a
Mhm.
mom. She didn't wanna work with someone who didn't have kids. Now,
Yeah.
again, you don't have to have kids to be an amazing therapist
No.
at any age,
But
but
it does help when you have some understanding for sure.
yeah,
But I remember going in and, they talk about one of the barriers of going back to school is like imposter syndrome. And I remember thinking, like, God, I haven't been in school in so long. And I just really didn't know if I was capable of, higher education to that level and going back later in life and, managing kids. And I remember having to work through that, like, on the assignments, and I would just get like, like, I wanted to do well, and I just didn't there was just so much I was trying to learn in the process, and like you said, I have these great friends that are reminding me, like, "You have all these skills, right? They're just not
so
in that
many.
academic, but you have skills that do transfer over into the hard work of gaining higher education and the discipline of it. So
Yeah.
you become more of a believer in yourself as you go through it. I mean, I have clients that have gone back to school and they're working through their own imposter syndrome and as they are successful, they're like, "Wow, I made it through my first semester, like I'm doing pretty good. Like I'm doing it." I'm like, "Yes." There's some confidence that really builds.
Little by little, I think little by little, and my least favorite word, consistency, it's like, be consistent, you just have to be consistent, and
Mhm.
I am consistent, otherwise I wouldn't have accomplished
Absolutely.
what I've accomplished
Yeah.
in little bit by bits, but I think, that is everyone's got different strengths, and it does drive me crazy, that particular word, I'm, like, more I get my energy kind of in spurts, but I
Mhm.
do need to be consistent, and so anyway, back to that. Enough about my personal, challenges, but, um, yeah, I think, you know, I was talking to I can't remember who, it was just, like, she just took 2 classes every term. It took her 8
Yeah.
years. She just took
Interesting.
2 classes, 2 classes, 2 classes. And after
Is
you
it
take
the
all the classes, you're done.
Yeah, because of the time. I want you to share about that, like, time constraints trying to do higher education. Because most of the time, people who are
Well,
doing
the
higher education at this time in life, they are still working. They're working, doing higher
Mhm.
education, and they have kids. So, like,
Yeah,
how do you balance it, Ange?
how do I balance it
Yeah.
is, I stay where I'm at. So if I'm here on the podcast, I'm in the podcast, I'm focused. And then once I'm done with the podcast, I might switch and do some clinical
Shift.
notes. And then when I'm done with that, I might submit something for my, assignments because 'cause I'm doing that doctoral program. And so I
Mhm.
think it's really just being where you are, being good at not it's a challenge, but not thinking about what you're supposed to do or what you need to do, but being
Yes.
present. Because there's something about me that if I am focused on where I am, then I have the time later. I just think I don't, but I do. It
Yes.
all gets done. But so the first, degree I got, was I did the bachelor's online, and that was, very psychologically challenging because I had taken so long to get that done. But that was more just, uh, a barrier, like, my own personal barrier.
Mhm.
But the master's I did because the MBA I did because I was trying to have my babies, and I wasn't getting pregnant, and I thought, "If I don't have my babies, I need to be focused on something that I'm getting
Mhm.
done, or I'm gonna fall apart." And
So
so
you're
I
kinda using it to manage your
Mhm.
emotions, like, if I can't have
I
this,
really
it needs
did.
to be putting energy somewhere that's gonna be successful, that
Well,
I
because
can control at some level. Makes sense.
because I have a lot of energy. I have a lot of energy, and I do, research things, but didn't have I needed somewhere to put it, direct it, contain it, and so focusing on school while I was going through that process was helpful, and then sure enough, get I did get pregnant and
Yes, you did.
I was doing my,
Times 2.
yeah, I was doing my work on my phone in the hospital, and I remember the nurses coming in and saying, because I was taking this, public policy class in the MBA, and I was working on, negotiating, our project was, the country of Georgia, and we were negotiating, like, produce or something at the United Nations, and so we had to present, and I'm doing that on my phone with my partner, while I'm in the hospital, and the nurses were like, "You're not taking this seriously. You need to be on bed rest, like, put that phone away." And I'm just like, "Let me just deal with the United Nations." And so I did that, MBA, and, I did take a pause on that when the kids were born. I think I took 1 term off. I think I took 1 term off, which I was afraid to because I thought once you take 1 off, you're gonna but
Mhm.
I did go back and I took 1
Good,
class, 2 classes, got that done. And then,
good.
um, this clinical psych degree, um, I only went into this direction because of my kids. I really didn't understand autism, and I wanted to know more about it, and I thought if I went to a master's program, they would teach me about autism. If it was a master's program in psychology, they would teach me about it, and, um, there was, like, 2 chapters.
I'm like, "Not really."
Nothing, nothing. There was 2
Yeah.
chapters, and by the end of that program, people were
Mhm.
reaching out to me because I had done a year of clinical work, and they were like, "We have this case, how can you help? We have this case, how can you help?" And I thought, "Oh my gosh." Like, there's
Yeah.
no, like so I've written actually, a syllabus for, um for a 6 unit for a sorry, a half term, class curriculum for autism and special needs to be taught at, like, a
Awesome.
university level. I haven't submitted it for, like, a practical matter, but so I did that because 'cause I'm like, "How can I make a change?" Um, yeah, and then that's what inspired me to do the doctorate because I want to do more writing and publishing on family systemic treatment of autism. But anyway, that's all details and I don't want you to get caught up in the details, anyone. I just wanna say that, like, do the next indicated step if you are interested.
Yeah, I
Take
mean,
one
I'm well,
class at the community college. Start.
I remember just, thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, and then I went and I walked the local campuses, and I just walked around and I thought about what would it be like to get my master's? What would it be like to come back in her school? How would I do that with the kids? And I just walked the campuses and I had some conversations about different master programs. And then it was like, okay, one of the schools that I decided to pick, they said, okay, you could take a free class. So you can take one free class. So I took one free class just so
Wow,
they
I didn't know that.
and I and so I took the free class and then I had to take a prerequisite class. So I was like, okay, the prerequisite class was at like a community college. So I'm with 18-year-olds taking a class, and then I'm taking a free class at this master's level, right? And it was for me just to see, can I do this? And I was like, if this doesn't work out, no, it's just, a cheap
No one knows.
community class and it's this free class. But it was just like getting my baby stepping it because I think it can be very overwhelming. And that's okay to do, to just kind of baby step it and see how it goes. I know other people that they're able to get educational funds through their work. And so, hey, if
Do
that's an
that.
option for you, do that. Try that. See how that works.
You can do it,
There's
and
there's nothing wrong with like um learning is a beautiful thing, right? It might open you to figuring out, well, I thought I was going to do this, but gosh, I really like this instead.
yeah, and I don't know if I told you the story, um, about, I went to, like, 7 different community colleges. I went to a lot of community colleges because I had a really big imposter syndrome thing going on. Um, I mean, I would honestly get to the hallway and, like, wanna throw up because I just the institutional smells, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't do this." So I came a long way is the point, but, I remember just thinking, like, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back, but, yeah, anyway.
You were talking about the different community colleges that you had been to.
Yeah, so I took 3 classes before I did the MBA. I took 3 classes at, Irvine, Valley College. Shout out to Irvine Valley College. Um, and the MBA program that I was in was a great program, but I remember learning a lot of the stuff at that community college. So it really did
Mhm.
prepare me for the
Yeah.
master's because it wasn't new concepts. So I was like the first person in my family. No, I wasn't actually. My brother graduated college before me. I was the first to go, but he was the first to graduate.
Yeah.
So I really did have a barrier about getting that done. And so, yeah, I think try it. Just if your job pays for any of your education, take them up on it. Do
Yeah.
it. It's so worth it. My husband did his master's through his employer, and they would even take time, I think, during work where they would distribute the books. So he didn't even have to buy books. The books were dropped off at the office. It was all virtual. They had
Wow.
his colleagues were his classmates. It was a really nice setup. So if that's an opportunity for you at your job, definitely take
Mhm.
advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, don't overthink it. Obviously, it's inside of you. I think we talked about this in another episode. You've got dreams and desires inside of you, and it's not impossible to go back to school. Like, it's not impossible to do those things. Is it hard? Hell yes, it's hard.
It is.
There is balancing going on. There is doing papers late at night when the kids are asleep or really up in the early morning. There is an uncomfortable transition period, I would say, of going back to school and working and balancing life. Like it is uncomfortable. But then you get encouraged. Like it's like, oh, I did that. I didn't think I could do it, or I had to figure out this and I was successful and it feels good and it like builds your confidence and you get a groove, just like anything. It's just like when
You do.
you try to go back to the gym and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm so sore and I'm so tired and this is awful and I hate it and it's rough," and but then, like, you start feeling good about yourself and then you start getting more consistent and then you don't have to drag yourself out as much. You want to go and there's a shift that happens, you know? And so, gotta
Yeah,
show
and I definitely think that you get into a groove and you will find in your program at a time that um where your maturity is gonna like be rough with like when you start having professors that are like 10 years younger than you, 20 years younger than you, and you have so much more life experience. And guess what? You get to advocate. You get to be the voice of a
Mhm,
diverse student population. I remember I was in a psych class and they were talking about psych meds for parents for autism actually. And the teacher just casually mentioned she was pregnant. She was going to go on maternity, but she didn't have children yet. And she said, um, she just casually mentioned like, well, you're just going to have to refer the parents to a psychiatrist for their child. And there's a lot of blah blah blah. Well, I stopped listening after whatever she said. You're just the way she said it
mhm,
really rubbed me the wrong way, and then I had to say, um as clinicians, we need to be really mindful how we present different possible opportunities for children because I said those families, they think that's their perfect kid. Their child's perfect and they don't want to put
mhm,
chemicals into their child. So before you just casually say,
yeah.
go to a psychiatrist for because I was told to go to a psychiatrist that all the psych meds would be covered for my kids at 18 months. So the psych at the
Yeah,
time that my children were diagnosed, they could have unlimited psych meds at 3 years old, but they couldn't have ABA therapy. That wasn't covered. Therapy wasn't covered, but the psych
crazy.
meds were. And
Yeah,
so not reading into that, it's just like I said, the baby that you're carrying, you don't want to put psych meds in them.
mhm, mhm,
Why would you recommend that for me in a casual way?
exactly.
Think about what you're saying. And so there will be times you got to remember going back to school. Yes, there's a lot of humility and there's a lot of being teachable and all that's good, but you represent the people that are in your subculture that don't get to go to school. Like,
Mhm.
I never found one mom in my entire process that was a special needs mom who was also in school.
Mm.
So I don't see it as just me going. I consider it us going, and then who's gonna
Yeah.
speak for us, even if it's not for my kid. So, be that representation for whatever the back going back to school as a mom who was married for 20 years and had grown children, like, you're that voice
Mhm.
for not anyone that may not have the courage to go back or may not be ready to go back or may not have the privilege.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What's that
I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm here. I my daughter's being very distracting in the background, so
in the
I'm
background, but I don't hear it at all. Yeah, at all. So maybe Sunday morning isn't good sometimes.
it's like
Oh my gosh. So I wanted to tell you, side note, and, only if you listen to this exclusive footage will you know, but, um, when we had that moment, with our interview where it got dropped off, that technical glitch didn't
yeah,
even look at all. It looks totally great. So, like, I really think that, um,
that's good.
I'm glad that we kept going.
Yeah, because that was just like a, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, this is the real life of it all, but it's hard because, everything is picked up on the microphone, every
Well,
little
remember
sound.
remember 2 weeks ago when I had to, stop because my son was asking me about I forgot.
Oh, yeah. So they just bolt into the podcast and they're like, "Hey, mom, where's the milk?" And you're like,
Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. So, and I don't know if you have noticed this, but, like, when I did my MBA, I was 39-ish, and so, I could work till 2 AM. I really could, not a problem, from
"Mm,
10 to 2. And then when I did this other degree, I was, like, 40 something-ish, and then now I cannot do
no,
all-nighters. I'm like, I have to get my work done during the day. I have to bracket time
yeah, I'm drooling
because
on the table, like, I'm out. I can't stay up."
I thought it would get easier because my kids would get older, and it actually is not because they're able to verbalize their needs, and they're
And we're
like
older.
they're
So,
humans.
us being older too,
No, what
we
I
need
meant was
sleep.
I'm older, right? So I can't stay up late. But I thought if I just told them, like, "I'm working on this,"
Oh,
that they
right.
would go, "Okay,
Okay.
mom, take your time." They're like, "No, but am I gonna still get this, 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 and this?" Like, "Wait a minute."
I know,
"Oh,
I know. Yes.
I'm still your mom." So,
It's
question.
hard to that's, like, real life and what we're talking about because the balance is, like, "Kids, I have papers due too. I have homework. I have
I have
demands
to do my
too.
homework.
I don't want to fail my class either." Like, you know what I'm saying? You're like, "So, you need to leave me alone so I can do my homework," you know? Yeah.
So, question before
Yes.
we close. Um, do you think for the person that's out there thinking, if I choose this career or this program, I'm not gonna be there for my kids. Do I have to choose between my
Mhm.
kids and my program, or can I do both? Can I how do we what's that option C? I was actually talking with a client. Option A, keep doing things the way I've been doing them, where I feel like I'm not out there doing some of my goals and dreams. Option B, submit and just do what everyone else wants me to do. Or is there an option C where we are living our bestish life and there for others?
So it's an interesting point because, I work with medical students and we just did a big event and, these female highly successful doctors were talking about this, talking about when to have children, like in medical school, in residency, when's the best time? When's the least impactful on the child? And there was this conversation going on about, well, each person had a different thing. We had a surgeon that was very much like, I can't stop. This is what I'm doing. There's gonna be a cost. And I chose and I didn't have family around, and so I chose a consistent caretaker to come, be in the home, so the child had consistency, and I did my best to cut back as much as I could with still being respected in my field, but there was a cost. Where another said, "I took time off." In my gut, I couldn't do it. So I stepped away as a doctor and I was with my children because for me, I needed to do that. They each had a different thing. So I think that like
That's really good.
understanding the impact, if you can't live with yourself, right? If the part of you that's like, I just I'm struggling, it's maybe not yet, right? That doesn't mean never, maybe not yet, right? Or, certain times in our kids' age when it's maybe a little easier to do it than others. So, as women, I know we look at these things. We can't act like we don't because a lot of us do. Now, maybe there's a season where you supported your partner while he was working and going to school, and now you need him to support you, and he needs to have time with the kids while you go to school in the evenings.
That's what we're doing now. Like when I'm doing the podcast and I'm not in my home office, I'm at my office. When we're doing the podcast, my husband does watch the kids. And on Saturdays, which right now I'm working Saturdays, which I don't love. I've never, I've always my whole life wanted to have weekends off to be there with my kids, but I have, clients that need to go on Saturdays for a lot of different reasons. So I kind of try to like opt out of one Saturday a month, but he's
Mhm.
there with them. They're having traditions with their dad. They go
Yeah,
to
which is
every
great.
Saturday or at least 3 times a month. They go to Taco Bell for my one son and orange chicken. What is that? Panda. Panda's not our sponsor, but I'm just shout out to Panda. They go to Panda and get the orange chicken and that's their little routine and they get their hair cut. That's their
Mhm.
little routine with dad on those days because I'm not
Yeah.
there. Now, if you don't have a partner and you're a single mom,
Mhm.
I have no experience with that. So I don't know how
Mhm.
hard it is. Although I would argue, especially with a special needs child, sometimes having a partner is harder because you have to negotiate the decisions. Whereas I see some of these single moms and it's like whatever they want to do, they do. So it's not about what's harder or not harder, but it's about what works for you. And I think having someone that you consult with, I think that
Yeah.
like you're one of my dearest friends and I have a group of ladies that have understand my situation. So find the people in your life that can help you be objective and make some of these choices.
Mhm.
And have a bench. Like I have people that I could just call at the last minute. I don't take advantage of it, but I have them.
Yeah, you need support for sure. Like,
You
don't
can't do it
don't
alone.
think you're gonna do it alone, and you don't need to. I mean, getting support and also when you're in your program, befriend people, make connections for study partners, for accountability, all the things, right? Like, but especially I think when you're trying to manage work and family, like trying to have some of those people on the bench, so to speak, that you can pull from is huge because we need them to help,
Yeah.
you know?
And
Yeah.
also talk to people that have done what you wanna do and
Mhm.
ask them how they did it.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
people that are giving you bright ideas, but people that have actually walked through it.
Actually done it. Yes.
Yeah,
Makes a
so
difference.
great topic. I wanna hear more about I think maybe we can talk, more one day about the different that's a big sacrifice for some of these, surgeons and doctors that are moms, so
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very curious. It sounds like it's a real, mindful decision, so thanks for
Yeah,
bringing that
that
up.
cost ratio, yeah.
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 All right, everyone.
Okay,
Have a great day.
talk to you soon.